Hello everyone and welcome to this webinar. Thank you for your participation. I'm Alba, the Portfolio Manager for Risk and Management at PECB. I'm delighted to welcome you all in a topic of PMO, the Guardian of Risk Management Framework. This webinar is intended to discuss the parameters and interface limits that could support successful development and implementation of the risk framework and ensure yielding the maximum benefit for an existence of the PMO. I would like now to introduce you to today's speaker, Mr. Mahmoud Moataz, a certified ISO 31000 trainer, certified ISO 31000 risk manager, PMI-RMP and PMP certified. He has over 10 years extensive project management experience, specialized in project controls, planning, scheduling, cost engineering, etc. Please be informed that you can ask your questions at any time during the webinar by writing them in the chat box of your control panel. We will answer to them during the question and answer session. I will now turn the time to Mr. Mahmoud. Thank you very much for your attention and enjoy the session.
Hello everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar. The PMO is an interesting subject by its own for discussion, and by adding to it the risk management, it becomes the perfect formula for debates. Considering the sensitivity of the two subjects in terms of the need of the PMO, its efficiency, and the value added to the organization as a whole in terms of the risk management, of course. The statistics around the utilization of the PMO around the globe is very promising. In 2014, PMO solution in its survey titled "The State of the PMO" concluded that 90% out of the 400 companies that included in the survey are utilizing PMO. KPMG in 2013, in its survey titled the Project Management Survey, concluded that 50% to 60% of the sample has a PMO within their organization. With regards to the efficiency of the PMO, there are some studies around the subject. By mentioning one of them, which is conducted by the PMI in 2013 on 1,500 of the companies, resulted in only 50% to 60% of the PMO were included in this survey were succeeded to achieve the objectives that was set for the office. By just focusing on the common causes and the root causes of the delays that may lead to failure of the organizations or even a project, it turns out that there are some common causes for that, like poor planning, lack of risk management, lack of decision made on due time to support the process. And by linking to these two statistics together about the utilization efficiency of the PMOs with the cause failures, it's become clear that there is a relation, and actually it's a direct relation to the PMO failure in terms of failuring of the whole organization or project. Now, if there is some standard and there are some structures that manages the standard, so what is the problem? What is causing the failure and the failures and delay? I think it's a practical approach of implementation of the standards through a competent and informed people. The PMO structure and function, missions and objective may vary from organization to another depending on the organization type and business. So in construction industry, the PMO role and function is very different than the healthcare, for example, or other organization like the audit or consultants around the globe. Also, the role of the PMO that relative to the risk management, it's directly linked to the objectives that the PMO was formed for. This webinar is focusing is focusing on the practical approach, as I said, and focusing on equipping the PMO practitioner to just get out of the head of the monitoring and reporting on the progress to leadership role and managing on days to day process in terms of risk design management. The agenda for today is starting with cranking the engine, just refreshment for the memory. Then the risks that to optimization of the function of the PMO. Then we will move to success factor of PMO risk management rules, PMO risk management rules as overall with relation to the ISO 31000, and then the conclusion. The risk management for in accordance with ISO 31000, starting with mandate and commitment, and this is coming from up at the higher level of the organization, like the board, for example. Then designing the risk management framework, and this is undertaken by the department. The second level, which one of them the PMO, it might be some enterprise risk management department, GRC, governance, risk and compliance department, or other departments. For the industry, the construction industry, for example, they have some central departments for planning, scheduling, and risk management. Then implementation the risk management framework, monitoring and review this framework, and then continuous improvement of the framework depends on the notes and comments that generated from the monitoring and review. What is the PMO? The PMO, in accordance with the BIMPOP 5th edition, it's a management structure that standardizes the project-related governance processes and facilitates the sharing of resources, methodology, tools, and technique. From this description and definition of the PMO, it's clear that it's a huge responsibility. However, according to the statistics, only 50% to 60% of the PMOs has succeeded to achieve their objectives. What is driving actually the role of the PMO? Actually, it's the cause of existence, drive its function. PMO can be formed to perform general management role, specific management role, fixed or dynamic role. The PMO depends on the stage of the project or of the organization, can perform multiple roles, and it will be different in its shapes and form. The PMO as defined as independent entity or entities. It might be there some PMOs around the organization. For example, if the organization have a department for IT, for example, they might have a PMO for the IT itself, along with the strategic PMOs that support the strategic decisions. The PMO roles could be fixed or permanent or even dynamic. The four common types of the framework or frameworks of the PMO according to the PMI and its PMO framework released in 2014 are: the first is organizational business department division to support the organization unit or strategy, and this type of PMOs is permanent and has a fixed role. The second framework is project-specific or temporary and could provide dynamic role as well, but it's also it's temporary and its existence just directly linked to the project or function itself. The third framework is service support, PMO which providing just services, and the PMO is terminated as long as this service is terminated. The role of this third type is mixed between the dynamic and fixed because it may change over the time. The last framework is the enterprise or the strategic PMO, and from its name, it's supporting the strategic decisions and write or draw the roadmap of the organization to perform. There are some examples of the PMO. One of the clear example of the PMO in an operational environment, and the PMO can be formed to perform a fixed and a specific mission. For example, transition the organization from one to another. If you have establishment of the organization as a building for the organization and need to equip this building, you might need a PMO to help with transformation of the organization from the mode of establishment to the operation mode. In the construction industry, there are many examples of the PMO. The PMO could be formed to standardize the methodologies and the governance document around multiple projects that performing in multiple culture, environment, and even in remote locations. The organization may have someone to link all those together and standardize the input and output in order to have some control over the input from different departments or projects. What is actually the characteristics of the PMO? Normally they are SMEs, subject matter experts. Subject matter experts in the field of the management with specific focus on the industry sector in which the organization is performing. So in construction industry, they are performers. They might be credentialed or having a degrees in project management. However, they have a history. It might be very long history in the construction industry, but it's sufficient to give them the ability to influence and solving the problem. And problem solving is one of the most important characteristics of the PMO. Depends on the knowledge, they can solve a problem, and helping with the problem solving that they are in the closed circuit of the board of the project higher level of the project of the management. Also, the PMO one of the PMO characteristics is the influence. They have a direct relation with the decision makers, which can support decision-making processes by providing them with informed decision in due time. And also, as they are influencing the organizations, they are influenced by the organization. According to the statistics that we just mentioned, the PMO failure has direct relation to the overall organization failure. So, what is the risk to optimize the function of the PMO? Many organizations still struggle with reaching the PMO function optimization state, and this state cannot be reached unless the PMO embeds risk management within its roles and responsibilities. There are many risks can impede their endeavors towards a successful risk management framework and as a general rule the project management rule. For example, unclear objectives of the organization or even the PMO objectives, unclear strategies of the organizations or incomplete because normally the PMO is formed in the early beginning or when the things go wrong. Lack of knowledge of organization foundational documents, which is mainly the organization mission, strategies, mission, values, and the overall governance documents, which is extremely impedes the PMO function. Lack of awareness of the value of the risk management, and actually this is very much, this is a road blocker, and it's actually the big blocker, which is if you don't, the organization doesn't have the awareness or the culture of risk management, and they cannot recognize the value of managing the risk, it will be very big problem to the whole organization, and in particular the PMO to perform its objective. So there is some example for the obstacles or risks to the PMO function. Incomplete or unclear objective that dealing with the risk management function as a part of the overall function of the PMO. Or maybe the objectives there, but it's not aligned with the overall organization objectives. Structure. What about the structure of the PMO itself? It might not be sufficient people within the PMO to cover the risk management function or even the correct knowledge and skill. And this is actually impacting the PMO ability to drive the risk management framework. Foundational documents, and just to mention about the foundational documents, clearly the objective missions, and this is directly impacting designing and implementing the framework. The culture of the organization or even the PMO itself. If the PMO personnel or even the whole organization doesn't perceive the right and correct role of the PMO and also the need of the risk management in order to succeed, it will be obstacle uh, just facing the PMO for driving the risk management framework. The organization maturity. The PMO has influence on the organization to reach its level of maturity, in particular the risk management maturity model. However, if there is a resistance from the internal resistance to change or resistance that facing the implementation of risk management framework, it could adversely impact the PMO ability to drive the risk management framework. The competency of the PMO is very critical success factor to the successful risk management framework. The PMO personnel need to have the sufficient and correct competency to perform the risk management rules within the organization. So the success factors of the PMO risk management rule, starting with setting clear objectives and drawing parameters. The parameters could be interface parameters to not just overwhelm the organization or doing anyone else's job, and also respecting the other parameters within the organization. If the PMO is formed within organizations that are already in operation mode, so it might be enterprise risk management, and this is actually generating dispute over the roles and responsibilities, and may lead to failure of the risk management framework itself. The knowledge and competency. The PMO need to equip a team and also all the organization with the right competency to perform the risk management. Small training could be sufficient on the risk management statement writing, how they perceive the risk management and interpret the information or the thoughts or the concern of the people into a manageable risk tool. The practical approach is very important because personally I have witnessed many occasions that the PMO just stick to the theoretical aspect of the standard, not the practical aspect of the standard. The standard is very good job as a governance document, but it need to be interpreted into practical tools and techniques, and also it needs to be utilized every day and every time. The credibility, the transparency of the information is very good aspect to gain a credibility. The successful implementation of treatment plans that nearly could result in major disasters need to be communicated, rewarded, and celebrated overall the organization. This is actually gain the credibility to the risk management framework. When people feel that what they do is very important to the organization and gaining some benefit, so this also gives the people who are driving the framework the credibility to perform. Eventually, if you need to just get the reliability state. So, what is the roles of the PMO in accordance with the risk management framework? PMO can contribute or even lead the framework components at its all level and all the time. So the mandate and commitment, the PMO can easily gain the mandate and commitment from the upper management because this is the entity was recruited for the subject for driving the management, and it's trusted and it's a point of interest for the organization. Designs management, design the framework, implementation, monitoring the framework, as well as they do the PMO doing the methodologies, and utilizing the sufficient tool to implement the risk management framework as a part of their own job. They can contribute to the other department and they can spread the culture of risk management as well. The first part of the rules, starting with development of the components of framework. How many instances? What is the objective for each instance, and what is the assessment criteria for each instance? And this is actually how the PMO can contribute. The PMO area of expertise and strength supports the effective contribution, if not leading, the process of the development of the component of the framework. In large organizations where the PMO is mostly needed, the risk management process probably exists. However, it might be at a high level. Development of an appropriate instance that align with the business unit's need, facing an intermediate object could be the area of excellence of the PMO. The PMO knowledge of the organization, its culture, and collecting this information can collect this information, process it, and eventually can tailor some instance that already fit for the organization unit, projects, or even subunits. So the level of interface with the stakeholder will be at the level of enterprise risk management, governance department, internal audit, business unit heads, business unit development, and other. As a part of the PMO roles, the PMO already engaging with enterprise, all of these departments at operational level or at the project level if it's separate projects. So as a part of this interface, the PMO can gain the information, process it, and provide them with the optimum solution for managing the framework. In this instance, what are the parameters? The PMO, as a focal point of and source of reference, may provide a solution for many of the showstopper. As such, how this instance interface? What is the data validation protocol? What is the consolidation and reconciliation protocols? What is the escalation protocol? If this is the several units performing under the organization, they need some protocols, limits, and boundaries for interference and sharing the information. And actually, as a part of the PMO general rules, the PMO is doing the coordination, monitoring, and reporting on the different instances and different projects. So the risk team network shall play a significant part in facilitating and information this flow. In order to decide to open how many instances, you need to know what is the PMO need to know what is the organization capability and capacity. What about the resources? If there is a sufficient resources with the right competency to perform the risk management. And actually, this is an essential part of the PMO, as the PMO is the point of managing the resources and sharing the information around the organization. Mandate and commitment. The PMO shall yield the benefit of being in the closed circuit of the decision maker, where the action says. And the PMO shall interpret the understanding of the organization's strategic objective to tangible values, emphasize on the risk management as a shield that protects these values, could easily gain the mandate and commitment from the upper management. And the result should be acknowledgement of the board, of the top management, of the importance of risk management in creating and protecting those values, obtain the board buy-in or the higher management buy-in on their overall accountability for risk management, which will result on the mandate and commitment and approval of the risk management policy. The interface level, it will be at the level of the decision maker, who are the board or the higher level management in the organization, and the PMO, as part of his job, shall confirm integration of risk management to the organization as part of the assurance rule. The parameters of this: achieving the board mandate and commit is heavily relying on the development of clear understanding on what does the board expect against what they need to support the achievement of the organization. So the understanding of what is the board need and what is they want is a key success factor to gain the mandate and commitment. In the process of the design of the framework, the PMO can support and effectively contribute, if not leading also, the process of development to the component of the framework. This ability of data collection and understanding of the organization context, the other context, what is the external factors that influence the information, the organization operation. I think this is essential part of the PMO. Understanding the organization will lead to successful design of the framework. The team that probably fully understands the organization full context may be few, and one of them should be the PMO. What are the capabilities and expectations? What are the resources constraints, legal and regulatory obligation, existing process competence requirements? This are all the parts of the organization context, and actually this is as a first part of designing any framework, this needs to be understood. The PMO is a positive and an efficient member of understanding the organization context, because the PMO might be a very influence factor in influencing the organization context. PMO members' knowledge of risk management to facilitate development of risk management is very essential. The PMO insight into sub-business units or project contributes to tailoring the instance for each unit. Communication of the framework as a part of the designing of the framework. PMO normally attend most of the meeting, if not all, so the team should have access to correct arena to communicate framework. Furthermore, the awareness publications and training program can be delivered on the framework as a part of the PMO training and education program to the organization at the level of the unit's head or the project manager. Define and document the risk management rules. Based on the understanding that developed throughout the organization life cycle, early life cycle, the PMO will be capable of defining and documenting the risk management rules in terms of responsibilities or authorities and accountabilities for risk management, and should allocate the rules and get them trained on the risk management. The risk management culture as a part of the framework should incorporate the means to shape an effective risk management culture and motivates people to pay attention to risk management. PMO has the right tools as a part of their function as a trainer, provider, mentors, reference for management-related matters to identify the right tool and spread the culture. Integration of the risk management into the organization processes, the resources, initiation and termination of instances, establishing internal communication. This is all always lying under the PMO general roles and responsibilities. The level of interface at this point, the PMO should interface with all the organization, and this is not weird. This is actually essential part of the PMO. If the PMO want to be successful in his mission and the mission, the PMO need to just engage and communicate all the input and output with all the organization. The parameters that influence the design of the framework should be, as the PMO consists of a few number of people, PMO should lead and oversee rather than undertake. Avoidance of being overloaded through delegation, coordination, and coordination and rules spread. It's very critical success factors to the PMO success. Implementation, monitor and review. Implementation, monitoring, review, and report is a cohesive process to the extent that it cannot be spliced, as these processes are going together in the same way at the same time. As a risk management implementation plan should be prepared and carried out, and the progress on the implementation should be exchanged with the other department to identify the weakness and the strengths of the risk management. PMO can lead and facilitate risk assessment workshop, follow up and provide guidance and assistance in risk analysis and evaluation. The data validation to ensure quality and consistency of the information is also essential cause of the existence of the PMO. The interface level, the PMO can oversee, lead, and managing different units project, and this could be extremely streamlined by the PMO. All the process of implementation, monitoring, and review is the area of expertise of the PMO. So the level of interface should be at all levels of the organization, and should not be limited to some organization level or managerial level. The parameters that affect the implementation, monitoring, and review of the framework shall be: the PMO is not all the organization. This is the first concept to be learned. Usually also consists a few number of people, so it shouldn't be doing other people's job. The role of the PMO should be clearly communicated, and the boundaries and parameters should be set to not getting overloaded. And actually, this is one of the factors that influenced and affected on the PMO function, which led its failure. The last part of the framework is a continual improvement. The lesson learned is a very important aspect at any framework. PMO contribute to improving the effectiveness of the risk management framework through review of the process on a basis and timely basis. It might be set as a part of the framework itself. Learning from risk outcomes and application of the controls, and examining the efficiency of the control. The PMO could undertake some internal audit as a part of its function, or even assisting the internal audit department and performance management to deliver a successful audit. Depends on the knowledge that they already gained from the organization. The level of interface, PMO as point of communication, as a major point of communication, could be extremely streamlining the lesson learned collection, analysis, and communication. Because if the lesson learned is collected and just kept in some way and never been communicated, no one will be learning from it. The parameters for it is the same parameters for implementation, monitoring, review. The organization as a whole should contribute and lesson learn, and provide recommendation on the framework itself in order to reach the optimization of the framework, optimization state of the framework. The conclusion of this webinar is, in order to get the optimization state of the PMO function in terms of the risk management, the PMO should set a clear objectives, identify clear rules, and draw boundaries, and set up protocols for interface between the PMO and between the other departments to each other. The second point of the conclusion is benefit from the PMO characteristics and authority to lead the process rather than reporting and monitoring only. The third outcome of this webinar should be avoid contradiction and resolve conflict with other departments like governance, enterprise risk management, or project leads. The PMO capabilities can be utilized for streamline and provide recommendation for continual improvement and collection of the lesson learned. And that's all for this webinar. And now just hand over to Alba.
Thank you very much, sir, for an informative and very attractive webinar. Additionally, I want to inform you that PECB provides training and certification services for ISO 21500 Introduction, Foundation, Project Manager, Lead Project Manager, and Lead Auditor. A PECB certificate will demonstrate your dedication in implementing and managing risk management processes and frameworks, and most importantly, you will be recognized worldwide. If you are interested in more details or in scheduling any of these trainings, you can find the link I have just sent you on the chat box. To continue further, now we will answer to some of the questions that attendees have asked. We'll begin with the first one. Who should be the key lead for risk management? Mr. Moataz?
Oh, hello, yeah.
The first question is, who should be the key lead for risk management?
All right. As a department in the large organization, there is established department for managing the risk. However, this department, due to the limited capacity, they might not be able to perform the whole rules and function of the risk management. So the PMO is associate or contributor to risk management is an essential part for successful framework. None of the PMO or even the enterprise risk management or even risk management department can lead and implement all the full framework again. So it should be some responsibilities, not scattered, just distributed over some department because the risk management is a collaborative tool. It's not one man show or one department show.
Thank you very much for your answer. The second question is, how do I calculate return on investment for a project?
All right. The return on investment (ROI) is based as part of the strategic objectives of the whole organization, and all organization has its own set of calculation. Actually, there is a formula for that, but it depends on the organization input and output for performing its own performance and return on investment.
Thank you very much. The third question is how to develop a schedule and cost baselines.
Right. Firstly, to develop a schedule, you need to identify the schedule and cost baseline. You need to identify the scope first of the scope of the schedule and develop a plan for it, a development plan, and then you will have a component, link it together, and assign resources to it. And resources will be different parts, different materials, people, or even equipment. But to develop this baseline, it's one that the time and cost is not always a component of it. The risk assessment should be incorporated and assessing the visibility to achieve those dates and those target costs. So the baseline as a baseline should be included just 3 items, which is time, cost, and risk assessed.
Thank you very much, sir, for your answers. It looks like we have covered all of the questions. Is there anything else you wanted to cover up before a wrap up?
Thank you very much for having me today for this webinar, and I hope the attendees got some idea about the role of the PMO in terms of risk management.
Thank you very much again, and thanks to everyone who attended this webinar. We appreciate you being here. I want to inform you that this webinar is also recorded and can be found in our website and YouTube channel. We will also send you the link of the webinar in your email in the upcoming days. Don't forget to check back on our upcoming webinars on topics of your interest by visiting our website or social media pages www.pecb.com. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you next time at the same day at the same time. Have a great day ahead.